How would you like to earn a 20 or 30% return on your investment that is guaranteed by US government? Yes, you heard me right. Let's get rolling. Roughly half of the states in the US conduct government auctions available to the public where people like you and I can register and attend for what's called a tax deed sale. It is important to mention right at the beginning that each state has its own rules and policies when it comes to those tax sales, and it is your responsibility to become very familiar with those rules, especially when you're planning to attend the auction and purchase a deed on a property. So let's go over the logistics first. What is a deed? The deed is a piece of legal document that confirms or proves the ownership of the property, and in our case gives us the option to purchase the property under certain conditions. The property can be worth from several $1,000s up to millions of dollars. And it could be a single-family residential home, it could be a commercial piece of property, it could be a self-storage, a retail, industrial, raw land, you name it. It could be just about anything you have to legally pay property taxes on. So we specialize in purchasing properties at these types of auctions, and we're very successful in doing it, which is why we keep generating double and triple digit returns on these type of investment deals. So let's explore how we end up earning a 30% return on our investment. Since we frequently attend these types of sales in multiple states, we attended this particular auction and purchased multiple properties in the state of Georgia specifically, which has extremely powerful laws in investing in tax deeds. And here's how it works, or what we have done. Our first step was to do extensive research on the properties we were planning to bid on at the auction. Our second step was to register for the auction at the county and pay a 5% deposit based on the maximum amount of money we were willing to pay for the property. The third step was to attend the auction and bid on properties on our list, the properties we have done research on. If we were not the highest bidders, our deposit would be fully refunded. However, if we were the highest bidder, we would have to go back to the county and pay the remaining balance for the property minus the deposit. You've done your research, you narrow down, you obtain a list of properties that goes to sell. From 300, you got your list down to 5. Hopefully you're gonna walk out with one property. You've done your research, you know the fair market value of the property is $100,000 for the simplicity. $100,000 fair market value, and you're willing to pay, let's say 70%, or $70,000. That's the maximum amount of money you're willing to pay for a property. So you have to pay 5% deposit from $70,000 or $3,500, and if you will ended up being the highest bidder, you have to come to the county after the sale and pay $70,000 minus the $3,500 that you already paid when you registered. Now, there are only two possible outcomes that could have happened at this auction. Either we would be outbid by somebody else that was willing to pay more money for the property, or we would be the highest bidder and win the auction, meaning we would buy the property outright. Now, it is important to understand that the next steps only apply to the state of Georgia, which was the state we were bidding in on this particular property. Remember, every state has different rules. Typically, in the majority of other states, when you are the highest bidder at the auction, you just buy the property outright. It means that you just took the possession of the property on the same day without any restrictions. You can move in, you can rent it out, you can resell it, you can start a rehab process the next day. Whatever the case may be, you own the property and you can do whatever you want with it. The state of Georgia is a little different. Georgia has what's called a redemption period, and basically what that means is even though we were the highest bidder, the property owner has the final opportunity of 1 year to redeem the property, in which case he or she was forced to pay a 20% penalty, anything up to 1 year, and now listen carefully, 30%, you heard it right, 30% anything over 1 year and 1 day, which is exactly what happened to us. If you attend the auction today and the property is redeemed in 1 week from now, you are going to collect a 20% return. Regardless of whether it's redeemed in 1 week, 5 months, or 1 year, you are going to collect a 20% return. Anything over 1 year and 1 day, you add an additional 10%, totaling 30% return on your investment. So the final outcome on this investment for us was as follows. The property we acquired at the auction was ultimately redeemed, letting us to collect a 30% return that was guaranteed by the county, which was handling the entire transaction from start to finish. So besides putting in hours of research on the property, we were able to earn a 30% return without searching for the contractors and doing any rehab on the property, which is phenomenal. Now, if the property would not redeemed, our profit could potentially double or even triple. And of course, there would be more work involved if you're gonna do a rehab and bring it up to the code or whatever it is that you would have to do. But with that, it's a higher reward. So the question really is, can you become successful in earning double-digit return on your investment doing this? And the answer is absolutely yes, you guessed it. But you have to remember, it's very important. Nothing in life is easy, just like with everything else. You will need to properly educate yourself on the process, the rules, the research, the risk involved, and etc. There is this whole learning process you need to understand to be able to be successful in doing this. I heard different stories from different people online and in person. Everybody's telling me how easy this business is. Well, it is fairly easy, but you have to be prepared to put some work into it. You have to be consistent and you have to know what you're doing. And if you will be consistent, you're gonna go to several of these auctions. It is going to be just a matter of time when you're gonna walk home out of the auction with the property. So you have to expect to put a work into it, just like with everything else. In any case, I hope this was as exciting and informative as it was for me when I first heard of it years ago. Please support our channel. Subscribe for more successful investment stories and ideas coming up as we continue to release more and more educational and informative videos with new exciting content. Thank you for visiting. As always, until next time.